At least 900 people face retrenchment at South African Airways. This as the national carrier tries to turn itself around. On the show this morning, we look at the state of the SOEs in the country amid the restructuring process. Joining us in studio is Dr. Linda Meyer. She is from the Boston City campus. Dr. Meyer, thank you very much for making the time to speak to us this morning. Your overall view of our SOEs and which ones perhaps are in the most dire situation?
So the overall view, to put it bluntly, is that it is in a state of disarray, and we are facing some SOEs that are doing relatively well, and we are facing most of the SOEs that, if we see on the reporting here, two-thirds of those SOEs have done worse than they did in the previous financial reporting year. So the institutions that are doing relatively well are remarkably Sandparks. They are doing fantastically. They've doubled their profits within a year. And we see that the Development Bank is doing exceptionally well. But we also have state-owned enterprises like AT&S, AXA, who could be doing much, much better than they are, that are doing quite well. Mintech, for example, the CSIR, posting very good results. But then we obviously come to the usual suspects, the Escoms and the SAAs and the Denels. And these institutions really are dragging us down. And compounding to that problem is that SAA has not had an annual report or posted annual financials since 2017. So they tell us that they've lost 6 billion, but there's absolutely no way to check whether that in fact is true.
Talking about SAA, which is very much in the news at the moment, how does the leadership there turn this entity around with workers who are very clear that we're not going to carry the can for mismanagement of this institution?
And I think that is a very real concern that Labour has raised, is that in all state-owned enterprises as well as SAA, when you turn an organisation around, it's about creating stability. So you cannot have an escalating wage bill. For example, now we see that there's again been an increase awarded to the South African pilots. And in the face of people losing their jobs, it's very difficult to start telling people we're giving one segment of individuals that are predominantly white a specific increase while we're looking at the rest of the workforce that is facing imminent retrenchment because we're trying to balance and make the money, you know, at the end of the day. We're trying to balance the balance sheet. But this is absolutely not acceptable. So the unions are raising valid points.
Let's talk about the most critical one for the country, Eskom. You've heard recently about the turnaround plan that has been tabled by the Public Enterprises Minister. You've also heard the financial planning around it from the Minister of Finance. Are we on the right track, or do these ministers, or are these ministers, as one expert said, actually, I think it was earlier this week, that actually there is a policy pathway that is simply not linking to each other in order to turn Eskom effectively around?
I think that given the current set of circumstances, the ministries are saying the right things. So they're putting the plans in place. But the social pressures are always what puts a plan at risk. So all stakeholders need to come on board. Unions can't sabotage the process. They need to hold hands with government. We need to find a solution to make this work. Eskom is, we have the new renewable energy plan that has come on board. So there are plans afoot on a myriad of areas to start our energy security, because we cannot grow the economy if we don't have energy security. That is just absolutely ludicrous. So they are saying all the right things. We hope that they resource it properly. We hope that they put the right skill sets in place so that these initiatives are in fact driven, supported and are properly implemented.
And it's that policy mismatch, in fact, that you speak about, that was pointed out by this one expert, that the policy mismatch between departments who are not talking to each other is what is going to affect Eskom the most. But thank you very much for making the time to come talk to us. Dr. Linda Meyer joining us this morning. She is from the Boston campus.